Hey, it's Rob, and we're doing the news live from Canton, and I'm so lucky to have E.T. Franklin with us again. She is the Chief Strategy and Cultural Fluency Officer at Spark Foundry, based in Chicago. Great city. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's cool. So glad to have you back.
I'm happy to be back, and this year coming in was a lot less hectic than last year. So.
Good. And what are you doing in Canton? Like, what are the top things you want to accomplish while you're here?
There are a few things that I want to focus on this year. Obviously, making sure the clients are happy, making sure they're getting the right conversations with the right partners. I'm also interested in looking at the work, taking in more of the content and the programming, and taking clients over there so that they can capture more of what CAN is all about. And then, having some fun, talking to people like you and checking out what's happening also on the Black scene. There's a lot of attention on Black CAN and Becca and some of these things, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's the second year. So you said you want to see how things are progressing.
Yes.
What are you seeing so far?
Well, in year 2, Black CAN has really grown up to be a thing. So I just came from the White House, which is a little bit off, out into the city, but the programming there is excellent. When I'm walking down the streets, I'm seeing so many more young people of color, which I think this is a wonderful opportunity for them to be in the cradle of, creativity and excellence. So it's been quite exciting.
Yeah, and Amanda Gorman's here.
I know. I have her on my screen. You reminded me. Is she tomorrow?
She spoke today. I'm
today.
sure she'll probably speak again, but she's here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's pretty awesome. That's
Yes.
pretty awesome. So we're doing the news, and there's nothing in the news more than sustainability is like the two things: sustainability and AI.
Yes.
So as we think about cultural and moving the cultural conversation forward,
Yes.
and the technology side of it,
Yes.
what are you thinking about? What are you seeing? What's exciting you? What's the promise?
What I'm seeing and what I'm excited about, the promise is that we've got this, even newer technology, ChatGPT 4, and it's going to democratize data, it's going to democratize everything that we do, and it's going to remove a lot of the bias out of the system that we have seen present before.
So that's the promise. That's what we're trying to get to.
Yes.
Where do you think we really are, and what are some of the roadblocks or concerns we should be keeping an eye out for?
Actually, I think we all acknowledge now that bias is a part of human DNA, and having bias and being racist are two different things. So I want to clear up that myth. Bias is all about our ability to quickly categorize, and so that's what we think about when we talk about AI. The ability to categorize things quickly so that we can easily use them in even more efficient ways. So if we recognize that we have these biases, the question is, how do we ensure that they aren't creeping into newer technologies like ChatGPT? And so that's something. There are a lot of conversations about it. There's research that continues to show that bias remains in the system. But what are we going to do about it? Who are the developers and who's involved? And those are the conversations that we have to have.
And how are they going? Like, how many of them are you involved in? Talk a little bit about what you're seeing and what you've been engaged in specifically.
So what we're seeing is we know that there have been studies done that show that there is bias in the system. For example, when you look at some of the big tech platforms, and you put in a search for CEO, for example, for Google, you're still seeing that the majority of images coming up are white men. The first study was done by the University of Washington, I believe, in about 2015, and it showed that on a search for CEOs, the majority of images that showed up were white men. So they addressed the issue, it was supposedly fixed, but then that same study was redone in 2022, and the same predominance of white men showed up. So we know that the conversation is being had, the issues are being raised, but we're still not seeing enough progress in addressing, the outcomes that we see.
You talk to a lot of clients.
Yes.
How do they understand the conversation around cultural fluency and the technology? Do you have to educate them? Like, where are the clients that you work with in their education level, and what are you seeing there?
from a client perspective, many more of our clients are talking about multicultural audiences and the impact that they have on their growth in the future. So with that acknowledgement and recognition, they also are combining that with a conversation about technology and privacy. So that technology, they do recognize that there is bias in the system, and they want assurances that those biases are being addressed and removed so that we can get to closer to the promise that we all would like to see.
Got it. Progress is important, and I'm glad, we continue to be part of the conversation too, and sometimes it's hard. You're fighting this battle, and it's always good to hear about progress and want to keep having the conversation. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good.
All right.
And that's the news.